Alright, this will be the beginning of a series of tutorials that I'll offer on my Kung Fu channel, Freddy's Modern Kung Fu. This is pretty much just a test out to see, if the public is interested in learning these techniques that I have to share. This is a wooden dummy. It's known in the Chinese martial arts. Wing Chun, the system, the Chinese martial arts system, the same system that Bruce Lee started off with, is known for using this training tool. So this is called either a wooden dummy or a Wing Chun wooden dummy. Mainly why the differentiation between this wooden dummy and Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do wooden dummy is Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do wooden dummy has just a neck, but the Wing Chun one is just a flat surface. So these wooden dummies are known in the Chinese martial arts, and more specifically the Wing Chun system. Alright, so what I'm teaching, and pretty much everything that I have to teach, is unique to my own individual expression of Kung Fu. So Kung Fu is just basically that discipline that you have to better yourself, but it's kind of related to the Chinese culture. So this is not karate, it's not taekwondo, it's not aikido, and this is not even Wing Chun, because Wing Chun is a system that was created by somebody, by a woman, hundreds of years ago. That was her expression. But I am using what they might call a Wing Chun wooden dummy. But it doesn't mean that you're learning Wing Chun, because I am not the creator of Wing Chun, and I am not teaching you what she was teaching back then, and I'm also not going by, the forms and the techniques of which they were teaching back then. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. I have a huge inspiration by Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee had his own method that he called Jeet Kune Do. And I can't even say that I'm teaching Jeet Kune Do because I'm not Bruce Lee. That was his method, that was what he was teaching. Even though I've been highly inspired by him and I've learned a lot from him, it's still not what I teach. So what you're learning right here is my technique in the use of this wooden dummy. My Kung Fu. So specifically, my business name is Freddy's Modern Kung Fu. So you're learning Freddy's Modern Kung Fu method of using this wooden dummy. Alright. So one thing about this wooden dummy that is very unique is that it allows you to work offense and defense, not just offense alone. Because these arms coming out at you are simulating punches and strikes that are coming towards you. And then you can use these as tools to work on your defensive methods in a combative situation. A punching bag, on the other hand, doesn't have these types of arms coming at you, so it's all offensive. It's all just punching. There's no defense involved. Also notice that a punching bag has it's a soft surface, so it won't, you're less likely to break your bones and things like that using a punching bag. You can hit it with a fist and you should be okay. But the wooden dummy, on the other hand, depending on the solidity of the wood and the quality of the wood, you can hurt yourself pretty badly if you don't hit this the right way. So that's a major difference. So you see a lot of martial artists that might break boards. They're breaking solid wood or pine wood or whatever the case may be. That requires a lot of conditioning. It's different breaking boards and bricks than just punching a heavy bag or using a speed bag. Speed bag, heavy bag, bob dummy, those are all soft surfaces that are basically yielding to your joints and minimizing potential for injury. But with a training tool such as this, it's a very hard surface. You have to train with it very intelligently in which to reap the benefits of what this type of training could bring to you, there's a lot of conditioning involved as well that you don't get from a punching bag. And you don't necessarily even get from a sparring partner. Because the thing about using the wooden dummy is that it's almost unbreakable. But a human being, if you hit that person too hard, they're gonna feel pain. But this right here doesn't feel pain. So it tests the limits of your conditioning because of the solidity of this wood. Okay? So basically, in my opinion, or according to me, this is my absolute favorite training tool for martial arts over everything out there because of the benefits of the offensive and defensive and the conditioning. This also works on your imagination. So the form that I'm going to teach, the beginning parts of the form, I created it through imagination of sparring with people throughout the years that I've trained and applying the techniques to this wooden dummy so that it trains it into my muscle memory and my body's conditioned to be ready for combat at all times. This is essentially like my sparring partner that I could train with whenever I want. Okay, so this top part right here is pretty much like representing the head. This part is the face. Behind there is the back of the head. The ears are right here. The eyes are right there. The nose is right there. The throat is right there. This is representing his right arm coming out at you. This is representing his left arm. And then this could also be representing a punch down low. During certain parts of the form, they might be representing different things, and I'm going to explain that through the time that we practice the form. There could be a time where this might represent a kick, one of his kicks coming at you. This could be representing his neck. It just can represent various different things based on the circumstances of the form, no matter where we're at. So this right here, as you see, is kind of representing more of his chest level. So his chest is like right here, and the stomach is right here. The ribs should be about right here. You look at my body, the groin area should be about right there. And then if you go further down, there's his kneecap. If you go further down, you'll see his kneecap, you'll see the shin, and things like that. Alright, so you got the kneecap, you got the shin, you also have the thigh right here. So the thigh would be right there. Okay. Alright, so the imagination is extremely important in the use of this tool, and is basically having the representation of a human body. So this is basically the wooden version of what Century Martial Arts Bob is. And it supplies an endless amount of training for offense and defense for the martial arts. Okay. So the beginning part of the form that I teach, I call this form the Phoenix form. Call it the Phoenix form. And the reason is, to me, there's a softer element to this form. It's not just all hard. So the Phoenix is representing more the yin. Okay. So this is representing like the power of yielding, the power of defense, the power of just balance, control and speed, accuracy and precision. Alright, so the Phoenix form. So far, I've created about 4 parts to the form. Every part has a stop point, and every part has about approximately 250 to 300 techniques for each part. and you have to do each part on the right side, and you also have to do each part on the left side. So then there's always this working of balance while you're training with the wooden dummy. So meaning, like say if you're lifting weights, like you don't want to go in the gym and lift like, start curling like, you know, 50 pounds, 15 times with the right arm, but then you don't curl anything with your left. That's the imbalance. Like if you do 15 on the right, then you should do 15 on the left. And that's the thing about the martial arts that's really important. It's about balance. It's not a sport where you're just dominant on one side or one thing. So it's not like basketball where you only shoot with the right hand, or golf where you only swing with the right hand, or baseball where you only swing with the right hand. It's not so dominant on just one side. And not even like boxing where they always favor this one hand. Like martial arts is supposed to be about balance, so it's very important in our training that we train and we give equal attention to both sides of the development, the right side and the left side. Your right side is connected to your left brain, your left side is connected to your right brain. Alright, so typically the side that gets the most neglected is the left side, which is the creative, artistic, meditative, spiritual side. So if you don't train that side and you only train the right side, you're creating the imbalance within yourself that's not good for harmony and spiritual growth within the martial arts. So we have to train the right side and the left side. There's 4 parts right now. In the future there might be more. Each part is about 300 techniques. So you're looking at least over 1,000 techniques. Not necessarily techniques, but movements. Like maybe over 1,000 movements on the right side, and then 1,000 movements on the left side at this moment. So depending on the popularity of the video will dictate whether or not I'll continue on with the series. If I'm not getting enough feedback or enough appreciation for the tutorial, then I might not continue the series. As I was telling my daughter earlier today, like what's the point? You create a video, only 10 people watch. You know, what's the point of putting it out there? You know, it's just not worth it. So if the people are showing appreciation for the teaching, then I'll continue on with the series as we progress onto the form of this wooden dummy. Alright, so the beginning part of the form starts off, and another thing is you could practice all these techniques without the wooden dummy, because most people will not have a wooden dummy. So you could practice all these techniques without the wooden dummy. You could face the mirror, or if you don't even have a mirror, then you don't need to face the mirror, you just practice the techniques. So you practice the techniques without the wooden dummy, and then if you ever get your the opportunity to use a wooden dummy, then you're going to go ahead and use the techniques, practice the techniques with the wooden dummy. First technique, you grab like this, you turn in like this, and you kind of go towards your stomach, and then you turn like this, okay? So here, and then boom. Alright, so essentially that's a wrist lock. Unfortunately, I don't have somebody to demonstrate that on, but basically what you do is you bring the wrist towards them, and you turn like this, and then you get them in a wrist lock, and what's going to happen is they're going to yield to you. Okay, so you're going to have to mimic that to the wooden dummy by pushing in like this. You push in like this, and then you turn to the one way, you turn to the other way. Okay, without the wooden dummy, it's just here, and then boom, boom. Alright, so after that, you hit up like this, have your hands closed, fingers straight, thumbs tucked in. You hit up like that. Okay? So if without the wooden dummy, it'd just be like boom, boom, boom. So when you hit up, you're basically training your palms to be very strong. And this straight hand technique is very important for blocking. So you want to make sure that you have the proper technique. You want to tuck your thumb in to make sure that if you block somebody's attack, that you don't accidentally jam your thumb or break your thumb. And same thing with your fingers. So basically, the fingers are very weak on their own, but they're very strong when they're together. So you want to have your blocking formation with your hands have your fingers closed in and your thumb tucked in like this. You don't want to have it out like that. Okay? So when you hit it against the wood, you're training to condition your palms. Your palms are naturally pretty powerful, but it still doesn't mean that that you don't need training. You could still condition your palms to be stronger than what they are right now. So that's what you got right there, and that's already that's already 3 movements. So you got 1 movement, 2 movements, and 3 coming up. Okay, so without the wooden dummy, pop, pop, boom. Alright, so after that movement, oh yeah, what it's representing too is somebody who's trying to choke you, for example. He's got his hands around your neck, and then you just basically hit up, his elbows, and then that will kind of release the grip. It basically, hello? Yeah. He called, when did they call today? Right now? Alright, I'll talk to them. I'll talk to them. Alright. Alright, bye. Alright, so that's basically representing their elbows. Like if they're here and you hit up on top of their elbows or below their elbows, it's gonna release the grip, and it's pretty much creating almost like a joint lock at that moment, because their arms are coming up and their elbows are not meant to be going in that direction. So they're here and then pop up, and then their arms will end up going up like that, releasing that chokehold. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. All right. After that, you come up like this, and that's a block. That's a block method. You see that block method a lot in boxing, for example. They come up like that, and it's a block. And also it's conditioning the arms right there. So conditioning the forearms when you come up. So you see this blocking method right here. Having your hands up in combat in a close quarter situation is extremely important. So it's teaching you to get your arms up. It's also conditioning here. You also want to keep the elbows tucked in. Like, you don't want to wing out the elbows. You want to tuck in the elbows. That's good form and technique when you have your elbows protecting you. Because if you wing out your elbows, you're leaving everything exposed as far as like your ribs and all that, and your side and your obliques are concerned. Have your elbows tucked in. It protects your ribs, your obliques, and also it makes it harder for them to hit to the center because there's less surface space. If you wing it up here, they have a lot more, to go towards to hurt you, your center mass right here. So keep your elbows tucked in like this. That's a good block method, and that's pretty much what it's teaching you at that moment, bringing the arms up and blocking, okay? All right, so you got 4 methods right there, 1, 2, or 4 movements, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so without the wooden dummy, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next part. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, turn like this. Stay close to the wood. Don't leave the wood and come in. Okay? So you're blocked here. Stay close to the wood. And boom. Alright? So when you twist it out like this, when you stay close to the wood, it's pretty much like working on that sensitivity. Like when you have when you're sparring with somebody and you make contact with their arms, it's really good to be able to have sensitivity to their energy and their direction. And the closer that you stay connected to them, the faster that you could be on the counter. So meaning, if I let my arms out and I don't have contact with his arms, it's just easier for him to just overtake the center. than if I stay close, stay connected, and then pull him in. So meaning, say he's choking you here, you blocked up, but say you're in this position and he still has his arms there, you could roll and then you could clamp his arms in, and then that's another way of releasing that grip. So if he's trying to choke you here, what's going to happen is his grip is going to collapse in like this, and then he won't be able to choke you anymore because you use your force coming in with your pec muscles to basically come in like this to force his arms to collapse. So he's here and then he ends up going like that, and then what ends up happening is you collapse him in and then you can strike him if necessary. So that's another method. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So you roll close to the wood and you come out like this, palms facing towards you, still having the fingers closed in, still having the thumb tucked in, and have everything close like this. And also put energy towards the wood, because you see this wood right here is not moving. It's not designed to to sink in. So when you're putting pressure in like this, you're pretty much training the muscles to get strong at that moment. It's another form of strength building, you know, like without the use of weights. So some people will grab like cables and start like going in like this to work the muscles, or they might have dumbbells and they'll come in to try to work the muscles. But here you don't need weights or anything like that. You're just kind of pushing in, and through that pushing in, you see my muscles are tightening because I'm creating force going inwards, and it's strengthening my forearms, strengthening my chest, strengthening my arms. So then if there is a situation where I have to use that energy, I've already trained that to be strong. So then when I need to use it, it's there. So that's what this is good for. You're pushing in like this, and notice you can't do anything like this with the heavy bag. There's no way. There's nothing to push in that force with. So you notice from the beginning, right here, you can't do this wrist lock with a heavy bag. You can't do this. You can't do that, and you can't even do that. All right, so that's the part of the form right now. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Thumbs tucked in, hands are straight. Without the wooden dummy, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So as I come in here, the next move that I teach is you come in like this for an eye gouge. You're basically using your thumbs to push into his eyes, and you want to grab his head like very hard while you're doing that. Because if you don't grab his head, then there's no counter force. So meaning that if you just use your thumbs and you don't use your fingers at all he has to do is just move his head back, and then he's not going to be in danger because he just moved his head out the way. But if you use his fingers to hold onto his head while you push into his eyes, then his head can't go back, and then now your thumbs are digging into his eyes. And that's part of the training as well, the conditioning. When you push onto this wood with your thumbs, you're training your thumbs to be strong. And when you're using your hands to grip the side of his head, you're training your fingers and your hands to be strong as well. Okay? And a lot of this type of training is neglected in weight training. So this is the stuff that you train, these like little muscle groups with the hands and the fingers and the thumbs and the wrists and all that you don't really get in basic, weight training. So these are the type of things that need to be trained for combat that are very important for your survival, that this wooden dummy will allow you to do. So you come from here and you gouge his eyes right there. You hold on to his head while you gouge his eyes. And then after that, you're going to return to this position here. So it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then when you come back, that's 7. That's another movement, so I would say that's 7. All right, so the one after that, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gouge his eyes, 6, come back, 7. The next one, you're going to come right to his throat, and same thing, you're going to choke him to his throat right there. Basically, use your thumbs to dig into his Adam's apple and just crush his throat while you grab the side of his neck so he can't just go back either. So you get a whole grasp of his neck, and you use those 2 fingers in the center to crush his Adam's apple at that moment. Okay. So these techniques, a lot of these techniques are very effective for ground fighting situations when your life is at stake. So meaning, if somebody's got you on the ground, he's mounted you, he's sitting on your chest, he's trying to punch you, knock you out, or he's trying to choke you to death, or whatever the case may be. If you could find a way to free up your hands and gouge his eyes or choke and crush his throat, then you can survive that situation. Okay, so that's the next technique right there. It's pretty much the same thing as going to the eyes, but this time you go to the throat. Okay, so it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this is coming back 7, and then 8, and then come back 9. Okay, so back to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next technique right here, you're using all 4 fingers right here, and you're coming in like that. This is his collarbone right there. You push into there with a lot of force, and you come back to this position. So you're pushing into his collarbone, you're using these 4 fingers, pushing down. This is a pressure point. This is not something that's lethal, but it's something that is definitely bothersome for a lot of people, where it kind of gets them to kind of just, it startles them, you know. So this is not a lethal technique, but definitely a technique that can be used to control people when you don't really need to use that much force. So you got like something that's very serious where you're gouging their eyes, something else that's even more serious where you're choking them, and then now you got something else that you could do where it's not that much of a serious situation, but you just want them to kind of like back off of you, and then now you put pressure with your 4 fingers onto the collarbone, and you push down. And you're pushing down at like a 45-degree angle this way, or actually you could kind of claw in and push down. That's very effective as well. This is not something that works on everybody, but for most people it does work. Okay, so it just gives you another option, teaches you a pressure point in the body that can be used. Okay, so remember the eyes, the throat, and then the collarbone. So without the wooden dummy, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, and then back here. With the wooden dummy, it's just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 movements that we have so far. I'm going to stop right there. And if the video is doing well, then I'll do a continuation onto the next movements. Once again, from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, so like I said, you could practice this without the wooden dummy. Mostly, probably 99% of the people out there that are watching this video probably don't even have a wooden dummy. So it's something that you could practice to the mirror, practice, you know, even without a mirror, and then maybe when you feel that you want to get really serious with the training, then you could get a wooden dummy and start practicing with the wooden dummy. Once again, this is my favorite training tool out of everything. It's amazing. You know, I work on it at least around 3 times a week, about 30 minutes each time, and I go through all the movements that I've created in sequential order. So I've memorized it all, I trained it into my muscle memory, and then I execute it. It's kind of like my way to warm up for the day. So rather than jump roping or, you know, jumping jacks or running or cardio, I I use this technique training as a way of warming my body up, getting me ready for like the strength training and the flexibility training. It's an amazing training tool, you know. It's always there for you day and night. Use it whenever you want. It's just so much more complex than just a heavy bag. And it's something to be proud about, something to be proud that you own. And also when you work on these techniques, it's something proud to display. Not a lot of people own a wooden dummy, and even less people know how to actually use it as a scientific method to enhance their combative ability. So this is kind of like, you know, it's very important for me and how I teach it and what I teach. And you know, if I could connect with other people who value this type of training, you know, all over the world, then that would be a great thing. And I just want to motivate people to get moving, exercising, learning some self-defense, learning some martial arts, and being creative. You know, I created this form. You know, I didn't copy it from anybody, from Bruce Lee or Wing Chun or anybody. This is what I created. So this is what you're learning, you know, a form that I created. And you know, once you learn, you know, aspects of this form, then it might inspire you to create your own methods, your own system of expression with this training tool. All right, so, you know, thank everybody for all your support. If you haven't already, you could subscribe, and if you can, please leave a review on one of the, you know, on the social media sites that are listed below, mainly the Google, and just you know, show some appreciation for the teaching. But you know, hopefully I can connect with more people out there that appreciate these types of, you know, learning experiences. And you know, we'll keep moving forward. There's a lot of different things that I have to teach, and I'll start going into other things as well. So stay tuned. And once again, take care everybody, and thank you.